on our next segment of Between Two Banjos 2017 Year in Review, we have Swallow Hill Music's Director of Outreach and Instruction, Chris McGarry, and we are going to share our 3 favorite albums of the year. So I think we're going to count down, right? Starting with number 3.
Yep.
Okay, that's what Chris wanted.
Uh-huh.
So Chris, what is your number 3 album?
Honorable mention. I just cheated. Kurt Vile and Courtney Barnett. Love that album. And then the new War on Drugs. So I couldn't fit those all in. So honorable mention. Do I get disqualified or should I go with number 3 now?
I would say just go for it.
So my number 3 is Sam Amidon's The Following Mountain. Loved this one. It had Sam Amidon going with his usual kind of like minimalist, although almost like Steve Reich approach to folk and Appalachian music. There's a cool moment. The first track starts, he sings a little bit, and there's this seemingly chaotic guitar lick that comes out of nowhere until the second guitar starts harmonizing with it, and you realize that it was either practiced or they overdubbed it, and it was less chaotic than it sounds. But my favorite moment of this album was the final track, where it starts out with Sam Amidon doing a kind of like folky banjo melismatic singing thing, and then all of a sudden we're in free jazz territory, and there's a drummer, and he picks up the fiddle, and it gets wild there, and there's like an 8-minute free jazz folk odyssey. Seemed like a lot of the territory that Tim Buckley went into on the Star Sailor album. So that album wins number 3 for me for just that last track alone. Really like stretches your ears a little bit. And maybe in this chaotic world, that's why I like listening to some chaotic music, because it matches what's going on outside of my headphones. So number 3 for me.
Nice.
And you, Dustin?
Well, I'm going to break the rules a little. It was very, very hard for me to find albums that were released this year that were my
2
favorite
rule
albums.
breakers.
I know. It's not that there was not a great music release, just like what I really dug into, you know. So my number 3 would be Caetano Veloso's debut record. It was an album I was aware of. I'd heard it. I dug deep into the Tropicalia music this year, the music from Brazil in the late 60s. And this album it's just amazing. Start to finish, beautiful music, beautiful production, beautiful singing. It's just a gorgeous ride. It was my summertime album, listening to Tropicalia music in the warm weather.
What year was that originally?
I believe 69.
Okay, cool.
Was it re-released this year? Does that count?
I wish I could even follow one of those rules, Chris.
No, never mind then. Okay.
All right, I will follow the rules with my number 3 album, which is Freedom Highway by Rhiannon Giddens of Carolina Chocolate Drops fame. And this album is a bit of a concept album, and not maybe in the Pink Floyd prog rock kind of way, but what she really does is tells the story of the African-American experience in the United States since the end of slavery. And it's a very powerful album. It isn't always easy listening, but it's very poignant. She's an amazing vocal talent. She's a great storyteller. And the thing that weaves throughout the album is she plays an 1800s style banjo, which has a much deeper tone than what we're seated with. But the banjo isn't on every track, but it's woven throughout the album. So you get this sense of this instrument that came from Africa in bondage to the modern day experience as told by Rhiannon Giddens. So that's my number 3.
It was great. I second you on that. All right, third you on
Third.
Yeah, 3.
I need to listen to that one. I haven't listened to it.
I had a hard time. I was a little bit heartbroken when the Carolina Chocolate Drops broke up. So it took me a while to warm up to their solo albums, and that was my thing that I had to get over. But once I got over it, yes, they're incredible on their own.
Yep.
Fair enough. Chris, number 2?
Number 2, all right. Mine is Half-Light by Rostam. He was a former member of the Dirty Projectors and most recently left Vampire Weekend. This is an incredible chamber pop album, I would say. It's pop music, but it is heavily arranged. And at times he's working with huge sounds and then all of a sudden shrinks it and there's just a couple instruments. Really beautiful songs. There's on there's a sort of reimagining of A Message to You, Rudy. The Dandy Livingstone ska classic that was reintroduced by the Specials. So it's kind of a reimagining of that. Different lyrics and everything, but it's called Rudy, and you hear that a little bit. And then this distorted kind of trippy Barry sax solo comes in the middle. It's great. And then tracks 4 and 5, that starts out with some like Aaron Copland sounding strings in there. And then that riff continues throughout the song, and it gets put in different spots in your headphones, and then it gets in different instruments, but it's there for almost the whole song. And then the track after that, track number 5, picks up with sitar and oud, and we're in different territory now, but then it brings the kind of Copland strings back. So that is like my favorite moment on the album. So it's just a great listen. Yeah,
That sounds really fun.
There's so much to chew on, and listening to it every time, there's something new I appreciate about it. So I love having a big headphone journey album.
Nice. Yeah. Nice. Okay, number 2 for me. Once again, breaking the rules. My number 1 will follow the rules, Barry, I promise.
No, it's too late. It's too late for rules.
Number 2 would have to be Doug Sam and his band. Doug Sam's debut album, famous for being the Sir Douglas Quintet. I'm not sure. I think maybe this one was 73 when he finally went solo. It's just incredible. Country, blues, soul, the Tex-Mex. He was the sort of godfather of Tex-Mex or whatever. It is so much fun. Bob Dylan's on there, David Bromberg's on there, Augie Myers is on there. And it's just, Doug Sam is just a master of all styles of American music on there. He can shred the blues on the guitar, he can shred the country on the fiddle, he's got a horn section in there. It's just super fun, a journey through American music in one album.
I want to hear it now.
Give it a listen.
That sounds great.
My number 2 album of the year is Poor David's Almanac by David Rawlings. And with David Rawlings, you also get Gillian Welch. They release albums under different titles, different performer names. I really like this album because it shows Dave and Gillian have this really playful side that comes out in their stage banter in live performances that don't always come out on their albums. And I think this is a playful album, but it doesn't get carried away. It never gets silly. And even though it's a lot of original compositions, Dave based a lot of the songs off of like old-time tunes. So it'll sound really familiar to you from the first listen. It's a really quick album. I don't know exactly how long it
seemed
is.
very short to me too. It was like, oh, that's over.
Yeah,
I wanted more.
But it's a great one to just flip back over and start playing again. So Poor David's Almanac by David Rawlings.
30 minutes is one of my favorite album lengths.
It's
perfect. You just get to enjoy it, and it means that they've cut out all the tracks that don't need to be on there.
That's right.
Because there's great albums that maybe could have a track or 2 taken out, and they'd be more consistent. So,
and in the CD age, people were like, "We have 80 minutes. Let's do an 80-minute album."
Right.
And
they didn't to.
Yeah.
So okay. Since you're our guest,
please.
do you want to reverse it and I reveal my album of the year so you can go last, or do you just want to tell us?
I just can't wait.
You can't wait?
I can't wait. This album completely blew my mind, and it simultaneously embraces and breaks the rules. It was a posthumous release. I'm not exactly sure when the music was recorded, but it was released this year. And it is, this is a long album title, so hold on. World Spirituality Classics Volume 1, Alice Coltrane, Turiya Sangeetananda.
We probably should have talked about this because that's mine.
Is it?
We didn't talk about this.
I think you turned it on.
It's a Festivus miracle.
Yeah, I think I did. Yeah.
Well, fantastic.
Yeah.
We both win today.
Yeah, we do.
No, Alice Coltrane wins today. I think she is an underappreciated figure in American music.
I love her jazz records.
Yes.
I love them. Her debut one especially.
Journey and...
Yeah,
that's a Journey and Satchidananda.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm getting that right.
Yeah, I try not to say them.
Yeah.
But yeah, this one was so epic. I mean, it's a very unprecedented music. I mean, it's like if because it's like chanting, but it's mixed with synthesizers, mixed with her singing, which she never sang before, but God told her to sing, so she started singing. Mixed with like almost like Detroit R&B rhythms, which is where she grew up, and she learned how to play boogie woogie piano. And so it's almost like if like Pink Floyd started a band with Buddhist monks from Detroit or something.
Yeah.
That's kind of what it sounds to me like. It's fascinating.
And I think this year left me, and it was the same thing with the Sam Amidon album. I needed some new sounds, and this album blew me away because I'd never heard anything like it before.
Exactly. I did not expect to like it as much as I did. I expected to listen to it because it sounded like fascinating, interesting music. And then I just kept listening to it. Like at first it was like a barrage and I didn't know what was happening and I was very confused because it was like nothing I'd ever heard. The more I listened to it, the more I digested it, the more I enjoyed it. Yeah. And it is a compilation of the tapes she would record for the prayer ceremonies at the ashram.
Right.
Where she lived. And so, so there's more out there. And apparently the tapes were going for like hundreds of dollars on eBay and stuff.
Okay.
So there is more music. Hopefully Luwaka Bop,
right,
the label that released it that David Byrne founded, hopefully they've got more in their vaults. I know it took them a long time to release it. Like it took them years to talk to her family. And, it's a process.
There's a short, I think it's from Luwaka Bop, there's a short like 10-minute video you can find on YouTube that gives some cool information and footage, and then they talk to her family, because she died in 2007, I believe.
It's been 10 years ago.
Around that, yeah. Mm-hmm. So, and the album was, I knew it was taken from tapes, and it was a compilation, but it's really well put together, that it all sounds like a concept album. And it is, as the term I used before, it is one of the ultimate headphone journey albums.
Very true.
I recommend experiencing, put this on your huge Kenwood speakers or your big headphones, lay down and just go on a journey for an hour. It's incredible. So.
It is. Very.
Well, I feel like everything is going to be kind of a, how do you go up against Alice Coltrane? You don't. I have a list of about 10 albums here, and my number one is, I'm going to go with, it's by the Mountain Goats. It's an album called Goths. Again, it's kind of a concept album. It kind of tells a story about the subculture of Goths. The Goths are getting a little bit older. Maybe the tall platform shoes and the smoke machines aren't as appealing or adorable as they once were, and the Goths are trying to figure out what to do with their lives. And as an aging hipster who's never got, but I just was like right there with the Mountain Goats on this cool album. I thought Mountain Goats always come up with something interesting. I don't listen to every album they put out, so
there's so many.
Exactly.
Yeah. It's like I'm listening to one and 5 more have come out. I'm like, but I didn't get done with the one.
And I felt like, it's been a few years, so it was a good time to check in with the Mountain Goats. The music is kind of a stripped down indie rock. There really aren't any guitars on the album, so it's really kind of rhythm heavy, but it's not a synth heavy goth album either. It's about goths.
Right, yeah.
So,
it's not The Cure
naturally,
or whatever.
Exactly. I think it could be a cool album if they ever wanted to explore remixes. I think it'd be fun to have people from The Cure or Depeche Mode or Nine Inch Nails remix some of the songs because they're so basic.
It's a good idea.
But that's out of my hands. So,
are the Mountain Goats a band, or are they a songwriter that is in creative control but goes under the pseudonym the Mountain Goats?
Yes.
Okay, they're both?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sometimes it's more solo, and sometimes it's more rounded
But John Darnielle writes all.
Right.
Okay.
Right. Yeah. Correct.
Yeah.
And I know a little about them, so I will take your recommendation.
There you go.
And that's why I love these end of year lists. Like, I feel like I'm going to then, from now until the end of the year, start reading top 100 album lists from record nerds that listen to like infinitely more stuff than I do. Right. And I'm going to find something that maybe upends everything. Probably can't beat Alice Coltrane.
Yeah.
That's how I feel about that album.
That's true.
I don't think it can.
I'll be curious how many year-end listed tops.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Thanks, Chris.
Yeah,
thank you. I'm like the bully that makes fun of things, and then you invite me to do stuff, Like I made fun of Between Two Banjos a lot, and then when you guys invited me, I jumped at the chance to come on.
We've
so it's
co-opted
really an
you.
honor.
Well, we look forward to having you back on again.
All right, cheers and happy festivals.
He's done.